Learning from Nelson Mandela. At Twickenham, the world's largest rugby stadium in London, Egon Zehnder staged an encounter between South African rugby legend François Pienaar and Jan du Plessis, chairman of Rio Tinto. They talked about trust, the rules of the game, and values and leadership.
His selflessness was incredible. He cared. He really cared. As a leader, that's why people love him all over the world, because you can see that, you can sense that. He didn't make speeches and then didn't deliver on it.
I think his humility, the fact that people were able to trust him, but importantly, he was also prepared to trust people. That's pretty important. I mean, good leaders are not just people that you can trust, but good leaders are sometimes, they know it's important also to trust others, and he was prepared to do that. I think some good leaders understand they will win if they've got the talent, and they need the talent. And the moment they think they become more important, the moment they forget that focus, they lose the plot. And it's amazing how younger professionals will sometimes think, well, getting to the top of the organization is about my professional brilliance or about precisely how hard I work or demonstrating how smart I am. It's not about those things. It's about values that drive it first and foremost.
Can I ask a question? So in those meetings, the heated debates, and I made the point that people's personalities are all different and strengths and weaknesses are all different, so they'll handle conflict in a different way. Does that come out, their personalities and the ego? Or is it the issue at hand? Is it for shareholders and shareholders?
Egos come out for sure. I mean, egos is a nasty word. Egos come out, but personalities come out, and that's fine. You know, as a chairman, you've got a board of directors. I've got a board of directors, and we've got people with business backgrounds. We've actually got people with sports backgrounds. We've got people with political backgrounds, and they're all different characters, different nationalities. And when they speak in debate, it does come out. And that's fine. That's what you want. Your job is just to kind of make sure that at the end of the day you pull this lot together and you come up with the right answer.
And if I can pull that through to rugby, and we know the game, it's exactly the same in the team environment, because you'll get to the really strong personalities, and strong personalities are dominant. And they if they don't get their way, they sulk most of the time. the personalities that are not as strong will handle it in a different way, and you have that in the team environment too. You're going for the best, so you want the best. But what if that best person's personality doesn't suit the organization?
I think big organizations, successful big organizations, somehow try and make space for mavericks, people who are a bit different, people who don't fit the mold. And I think it's a big challenge we've all got to try and make space for that.
But you make it sound like in rugby or in sport people can come and go, but there must be a big value on stability as well, and continuity.
Absolutely, the core needs to be there. And if the core is strong and the spine is very strong, so and chairman, CEO, CFO and COO, that's your core. You can plug a lot of that into it. And the rugby is the same. And if you look at the guys that touch the ball, make the most decisions and so forth, they're very strong. You can plug in a lot of players that can come and go. But the core needs to be there, and there needs to be consistency in the core. And the culture of that core makes that a high performance business or a high performing team.
You're talking about the technical aspects, the planning. What about the emotional dimension? I mean, on that day, your team lifted in a way that was, it's almost beyond comprehension. There's a coming together. There was the, Mandela's in the stand, the nation's coming together. How does that feel?
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredibly tense. It's very difficult to describe how you feel, because there's a war of emotions in your body and in the squad. And as a captain, you have to control yours, and you gotta have the pulse of the rest.
And did you know that he was going to emerge on the pitch with your shirt?
No, didn't have a clue. I mean, we were going about strategy, and I'm in the changing room before the game, getting ready, getting strapped up, going through, and the players were very tense. I mean, the atmosphere was electric. So you're going through all the detail, and there was a knock on the door, and the door opened, and he walked
Before the game? Was it before the game?
Before the game.
Yeah.
And then they walked in, and he had a Springbok on.
Oh, really?
Springbok jersey on. Now, the symbol of that, how do you describe that? You can't describe it to people that didn't grow up how we grew up. And I grew up in apartheid South Africa, and with the black people in South Africa, rugby, they hated rugby, absolutely hated rugby. And he walked into the change room and he had a Springbok on his heart. Now you got to deal with that emotion. And then he turns around and my number's on his back. That was, I was incredibly. I would run through walls, I'd run over hills, and that was maybe the edge we needed.
And I think values get you very close to emotions, and sometimes you need to demonstrate emotion the way you say things to get people to buy into your story. So I think the use of emotion ties in with values, and that's quite key in leadership.